Live from Cool Boys Central.
You're the boss now, man. I'm boss up here.
From bat tips to bat nips, we are just cool boys revisiting Batman, the animated series, and wearing hats. This is Batman and Beyond, a Cool Boys podcast.
I see Batman and Beyond.
Greetings, Cool Boy Bat Nation, and welcome to another installment of Batman and Beyond,
Woo-woo!
a Cool Boys podcast. I'm Ballard.
And I'm Steve.
So cool. Tonight's episode is Heart of Steel Part 2, also directed by Kevin Altieri, and also written by Bryn Stevens. This episode came out the following day, November 17th, 1992, which I loved as a kid because last week's episode ended on fucking quite a cliffhanger. And the villain of this week's episode as well continues to be H.A.R.D.A.C, which stands for Holographic Analytical Reciprocating Digital Computer. But as Steve and I pointed out last week, it should have stood for Human Analog Replacement Digital Computer, or something to that effect. Because it's definitely not a holographic analytical reciprocating digital computer.
You're talking fast.
Am I talking too fast?
Whew.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Wikipedia says Batman manages to free himself from the Batcave's clutches and brings it back under his control. Although he fails to track down Dwayne, Barbara Gordon approaches Batman to inform him of her father's sudden change in behavior. A brutal fight between Batman and Detective Bullock ensues, during which Batman pushes Bullock onto the bat signal. That's not how it plays out, actually, Wikipedia. It plays out a little differently. We can discuss that in a moment. And reveals him to actually be an android. I thought it was more of a cyborg.
Yeah, I guess that's just like a synonym.
So android makes sense because it's like, it's playing off of Blade Runner slightly, right? But at the same time, it's Terminator, and Terminator's clearly a cyborg.
Well, I mean, what do you think the difference between an android and a cyborg is? I think they're just kind of...
I thought an android was more of like organic material to make a fake human, while cyborg is a robotic exoskeleton with human tissue on it.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that specific. I think that...
Why don't you look it up for us, Steve, and get back to us?
All right, I will, but I'm pretty sure...
Wikipedia continues. So Bullock gets pushed onto the bat signal, and it reveals him to be actually an android, meaning that the real Bullock and James Gordon have gone missing, and Batman knows who the culprit is, H.A.R.D.A.C. Batman must stop the evil supercomputer before it is too late. Steve, what is the difference between an android and a cyborg?
The cyborg is a fictional or hypothetical person whose physical abilities are extended beyond normal human limitations by mechanical elements built into the body.
Oh, shit. So James Cameron is wrong by calling the Terminator a cyborg.
I just don't think... I think these are like really sort of like fluid...
Loose?
Uses. I think an
Some
android...
sci-fi nerd is listening to this right now and going, fuck you, Steve!
Probably, yeah. But yeah, so they're saying android is a robot with a human appearance. But then there's synonyms: robot, automaton, cyborg, droid, bot. These are all...
Yeah, they're like synonyms that are loose, though. Because I would say the only synonym that really works then for android is replicant from the Blade Runner series. Which, of course, as we mentioned last week, the Rossum character is clearly based off of, is the J.F. Sebastian character from Blade Runner. So, Steve, before we go any further, we had, of course, this being a part 2, we have a previously on Batman. And this one's voice is...
Alfred's
voice. That's right. Because he just got shocked the fuck out of him. Do you feel like he was the right one for the voice for this one?
I was hoping it would be like Barbara.
Yeah, I was thinking Barbara too. So, Cool Boy Nation, just for your edification, the other times we've had these previously ons, we've almost always had somebody involved with the episode, with the exception of Two-Face Part 2, which is our very first one. The previously on Batman, we don't know who the fuck's voice that was. it's just some random fucking voice. It's not Bruce Timm's voice. It's not Kevin Conroy's voice. It's not the guy who plays Two-Face. We don't know whose voice that is. Just have no clue. But the next time we get it is Cat in the Claw Part 2, and that is obviously Selena Kyle's voice for the previously on Batman. Of course it should be. And Feet of Clay Part 2 was also Alfred's, which doesn't really make sense there either, but I guess maybe to some extent because you're not really going to do Hagen. He's not a big character. I guess you don't want to do Bruce for some reason. They never ever really want to do Bruce for some reason. And then Robin's Reckoning Part 2, previously on Batman, was Robin's voice. So this one is Alfred's again. So I guess when they default to what could be Bruce's voice, I guess they just use Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think is right. He doesn't seem like a character
I think
who would
that they
have
just
the insight.
about paying lines or something like that. They just like had him in there and just had him.
You think
record.
it's just business?
Yeah, I think so. Business.
Maybe. Well, obviously, if you have Adrienne Barbeau playing Selena Kyle, you're going to want her to read as much shit as possible, so you're going to give her the previously on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems weird to me that Alfred's voice is the voice that's used for the generic previously on Batman. It really seems like that should be Batman's voice or something like that. I don't know why it isn't. Because, like, when you think of narratives or when you think of narration, you think of someone with like a voice of God type, right? Like you kind of, or someone that has full insight because they're talking about past events. Like you don't really think of it like Alfred is that type of person, the person who's involved.
He's
in the
all
story.
knowing.
How is he all knowing?
Because he knows he's been with Batman since he was a little kid.
But this Alfred doesn't seem to even give a shit about Batman.
What do you mean? He loves Batman.
He's constantly trashing Batman, and he was trashing Batman with Robin in that one episode.
He can vent with Robin,
He's just venting.
but that doesn't mean he's trashing. And
all right, fine. I'll
he
stop
loves
trashing Alfred.
I can't stand the way you have treated Alfred in this series.
Hey, Alfred's a fucking monster. He deserves everything he gets.
No. That's one man's opinion.
It is absolutely my opinion, and I will not shy from it.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to point out that after this previously on, our summary of what happened last week, we get a super fucking, this is the most intense to be continued yet, because it comes off Batman essentially, about to die, and then we come back on this week, they come right back to that scene. We finally see the follow-up. There's no bullshit. You don't go all of a sudden and follow, like, William Sanderson's character of Carl Rossum get into the car accident that kills his daughter and then see the origin of H.A.R.D.A.C. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see these things that would have been usually used in a Lost episode to continue to, like, fill the episode so you don't reveal the secret that, that the last episode ended on the cliffhanger with. This one just goes right into it, and I fucking love it for that, and I'm so happy it did that, and as a kid and as an adult, I just was so fucking just so hard act the whole fucking time.
It felt to me like it was just coming in from another commercial break, the way that they were treating it. They always have these like cliffhanger breaks where it's like, how is he going to get out of it? And then it's like, oh, he's just going to pull his arm and get out of it pretty easily. That's kind of how I felt while watching it.
And this isn't a primetime episode, so I almost wonder if maybe it was intended to be a 1 hour primetime episode.
Maybe.
To an extent, it feels weird that it is like a commercial break type of like cliffhanger to be continued, and then therefore it's also like a return from commercial break previously on kind of thing, right? Like it is odd. But I liked that they at least didn't fuck with us.
Maybe that's why they had Alfred do the voice. They just had to pull the last one who did the voice, and they turned.
Last one was Robin.
Well, never mind.
But whatever. And then I like how H.A.R.D.A.C is about to get shut down by
he does not like that
Rossum, and it fucking just lights him up. Mm-hmm. Carl Rossum gets lit up and on fire.
What kind of idiot tells the sentient, robot, I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna, you've gone too far. It's like, you have to be quiet.
Steve,
it's like, I never understand.
Stanley Kubrick would tell you to watch his movie 2001 because Dave does the same thing to Hal, and Hal's like, I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that, Dave? Right? Like, Hal fucking knows what's up.
And then I like how what's her name? Wanda. She's like, you've harmed the maker. I like how they refer to him as the maker. It was very science fiction.
Yes, and even to that point, when you watch her pick up Carl Rossum's body, she looks like a robot for the first time in the episodes. Like out of last week's and this week's, it's the first time she's like
superhuman strength.
Robot, and they start even more so tipping their hat to that she's a robot in this. I really did not think she was a robot when I watched this as a kid, and it was a reveal to me.
When they were communicating telepathically, and they showed like in last episode, literally the robot starts like glowing in her head, and it's like, Randa, you need to look through Bruce Wayne's blah 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 blah. And she's like, okay, and then she like communicates back. Like it was totally like that. She's a total robot. Like that was, I don't know. It wasn't a surprise to me.
Well, I mean, obviously, as an adult, it's not a surprise to me.
No, as a kid, I don't remember being surprised as her being a robot.
Well, okay, who the fuck knows how H.A.R.D.A.C works? Like, maybe he's able to send radio waves out that she can fucking hear.
All right.
Like, I didn't make the connection that he was like speaking robotically
we're different.
to her.
We're different. That's
maybe she had a phone on speaker. We just didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not how.
That's what Alfred was like. Oh, I heard you talking to somebody on the phone on speaker, and I brought you some tea.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, here, take this electrical stick.
Yeah. Here, grab the other end of this taser. While we're talking about last week's episode, we should talk about this week's episode and what we're watching right now. We have a cliffhanger act break, another Steve sponsor cliffhanger act break where Mayor Hill gets replaced. Uh-oh.
Lots of replacements going on.
It's just dropping like flies, huh?
I do like how Barbara Gordon is going to the rooftop and is using the bat signal herself.
Totally. Oh, that's so sick. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, this there's a lot of heavy hinting to where her character goes in this particular episode 2, part 2. This one really starts her down on the path to be Batgirl. One of the things we're watching right now is after Barbara sets off that bat signal and Batsy shows up, Harvey Bullock shows up, and he immediately starts fighting Bruce, and it's reminiscent of Captain Clown from the Joker's episode, The Last Laugh.
Yeah, where he just suddenly has superhuman strength. And that was the one that was more surprising. It was like, what is going on? Why is Bullock attacking him? And it was like, oh, he's been replaced.
But you don't know that until after Barbara kills him.
Uh-huh.
So Wikipedia says Batman pushes him into the bat signal. Sorry, Wikipedia says. That's not true. What happens is Batman's under attack by Harvey. Barbara throws a grappling hook around Harvey's leg and pulls his ass into the fucking bat signal.
Yep.
She killed Harvey not knowing he was a
and
robot.
She's crying about it.
She totally cries about it. It's fucking horrific to her. Like, it's great. It's a great scene. And then he fucking straight up Arnold Schwarzenegger T-800 comes right out of the skin and he's just a fucking giant Terminator.
Chops off its head.
It's awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I love every single one of Batman's melee fights with the Terminators in this episode. Every single one of them is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of them has hints of horror. Every single one of them has hints of just absolute carnage and death.
When they become spiders or like
crab walking, yeah, they crab walk,
and their heads start turning like upside down. It's like, what is going on here? It was awesome.
That is awesome imagery.
I thought that, what was kind of funny too was I felt like that they were playing up Barbara kind of like for comedic stuff too, because she was like pulling on Batman's cape to like stop him.
I think they're trying to show how young she is still.
And he's like, please let go of my cape. And then there was like another scene later on in the episode when she breaks into the Ross
with the code.
No, not the code. The one where she's just like walking down the hall, and it's like this kind of a logger scene where she just like
with the trash can.
Yeah, and it's like following her, and she's just like and then she stopped. It was like a Looney Tunes bit, where they're like going through it, and she stopped, looked behind, and it stopped, and then she kept going, and it stopped. And I thought that was just kind of funny that to throw that in there. I always like that when they kind of throw in those little comedic bits, when they do it right.
Yeah, when they do it right. Yeah, when it doesn't seem to like tear up the tone they've established, at least.
Yeah.
I love what we're watching right now. We are watching what is currently the Batman or Bruce fight on 5 different Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3 random Gotham Elite guys. And then it's R.U.R and Mayor Hill and Gordon, am I not mistaken?
Yep.
So it's 6, actually. Holy fucking shit. He's fighting 6 Terminators. Batman is so badass.
Wow.
And I love it, Steve. This is where they actually do homage Terminator. I mean, they fucking go full red eye.
For sure.
This is playing to the kids' understanding and knowledge of T2, which came out the year prior, 1991. This came out in 92, as we mentioned earlier. So this is awesome. Like, this is everything I wanted. Like, I didn't own Terminator 2. I was not allowed to own an R-rated film. But I could watch this after school? Yes, please.
Yeah, I love when the guy turns into a spider and it is going through the...
I call it crab walking, but yeah, I guess it's a spider.
I felt like it was a spider. But I like how Batman basically gets rid of most of them by just dropping an elevator.
That's exactly how he gets rid of them all, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a cheap way out.
I love it. Oh, I love it because I like how you see the visual of the robot Terminator going up the cable, the elevator cable, and you get this really wide shot where you have, bats at the top and the robot climbing up, and as he's about to reach Batman, he finally severs the cable with his torch, and it just just touches his cape, and then it falls, and they all crush. And this episode, we get skulls all the time popping out with flesh on them, destroyed. And we get that with, I guess, who's that? It's Mayor Hill's skull, I take it?
The way they do the dropping of the elevator was really well done. I had a note in there that it was really cinematic, where it follows the elevator going floor to floor to floor to floor.
Yeah.
And until it finally crashes. I thought that was
which is
was
an
really
incredibly cheap animation technique, right? I mean,
it's
the same cell just over and over and over again.
They did it right, I thought.
They did. No, they did because it's effective.
Yeah.
It's so effective that my wife, who watched this episode sitting next to me, but didn't really watch it, she was on her phone the whole time, turned and actually watched that moment when the elevator dropped, because it's visceral. You feel it. The audio's there too. Right now, Barbara's breaking into Cyber fucking Tron. And Steve, what I mentioned was a moment ago when I thought you were talking about it, but you were talking about the trash can sentry guards.
Yeah.
Is that Barbara uses her makeup kit to blow makeup dust onto the keypad to see the fingerprints. First of all, I don't know if that would ever work.
It's a good try, I think.
But then she perfectly hits the code in order.
As a kid, I couldn't believe that. I remember going how the heck would she figure out that right combination? There's so many different combinations that
I wish they had her get it on combination try 3. You know what I mean? At least show that the first 1 or 2 failed.
She has some fake hacking device that she just puts in there that gives her...
That's straight out of T2, Steve.
Yeah,
that would be way too much.
They need to just make her be a little bit more tech savvy because she's young or something. It'd be
well, and she becomes Oracle.
That's way in advance though. But yeah, maybe throw in a little bit of just her being smart. But that was so silly. It's hard to believe. It's what?
It's the only time in this episode about robots that I actually question the rules of the reality. Yeah, it is though. It is the only time. I love, by the way, the trash can sentry robots. I fucking love their art design. That concept is so cool. It fits. It works. It's so Max Fleischer. It's so old school, 1950s. What was that movie that tried to recreate that? Sky Captain of the World Tomorrow. It's War of the Worlds-y. It's great. It's so good. I love the design of this episode.
I liked how they used visually how they have the trash can watching them walk away, and it's the door of the trash can or the lid that kind of closes out that scene.
Yeah, it closes out that break.
Yeah.
That's the act, and we go to commercial right then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then right after that, it was immediately get the Batman trash can sentry guard. So, yeah, I mean, this is a fucking amazing episode. I mean, all around, I really do love it. And now Batman is involved, and Batman's there at Cyber fucking Tron, and he's, confronting everybody, and this is going to go down. This is all going down right now.
Yeah, basically, it's from here, it's just kind of badass fight scenes and Batman, getting his way, I feel like.
And we also see the Gotham elites that were replaced by Terminators. We have Mayor Hill, we have Commissioner Gordon, we have Harvey Bullock, and we have also Carl Rossum.
I feel like they're missing people.
Where the fuck are the other 3 guys?
Yeah, there's like a whole other row of people that...
on the other side of H.A.R.D.A.C?
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah, but they're never like mentioned again because they explode at the end of this episode. Yeah, they never made it out actually. I just everything about this Act 3, and it's just so good to me. Like it is the big explosive Act 3 with robots. I mean, essentially, if this was live action, there'd be CGI everywhere. You've got Gordon crab walking. And you have H.A.R.D.A.C, waxing lyrical about its soliloquy of why it's trying to replace humanity.
Which didn't make any sense. That was one of my notes. It was like that. What is going on? Like human error, and he wants to replace it.
That's common though. That's super common in like science fiction that robots or AI feels that humanity is destructive and dangerous to itself.
No. That's super common, but not the way that it is led to in this episode. It is.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
yes.
Oh, your daughter got killed in an accident by a drunk driver, presumably, or something. So he wants to get rid of. Carl Rossum is like, let me get rid of human error. But how does that have anything to do with replacing humans with robots? Like suddenly, I don't know. It just like suddenly this AI was like, all right, like. I'm going that route, which is the common route. Like, yeah, humans are the bad, thing, and we need to fix them and all that stuff. But
robots don't understand that we have compassion and the ability to love and art. You can't get rid of those. You can't recreate that, robot. I like how when Barbara drops off Gordon, she immediately goes back in for Batman.
Oh yeah.
Like this is like she's just full on, and she's got her backpack on.
She's a
which
hero.
Is kind of like a utility belt / cape.
She saves Batman. Yeah, she's
wearing her colors, kind of.
Yeah, and when Batman's fighting the android or cyborg, it has that like kind of like half face where it's
R.A.D.A. Yeah, R.A.D.A, the last Terminator to fall.
It's total Terminator.
She looks at she reveals her half of her face is missing to Batman when she's got him in like a lock, like a headlock, and Batman just stares at her and screams for like 5 seconds. He's like, ah! And you're like, way too long of a scream.
Do you think that's when he first realized that she was a robot? Like he was holding out hope?
He was about to fuck the shit out of her, and it would have been a robot the whole time.
He was like, maybe still she's just like in on it, just like doesn't have morals or something.
Dude, I would just hope that H.A.R.D.A.C built that pussy super sweet. That's all I would want.
You'll never know.
But there's a moment I want to call back. Okay, so for me, this episode, the real issue I have with this episode, and this is the only major issue I have with this episode, is Gordon gets shot in the fucking head with a high-powered laser, and he's fine. Yet last week we see that anytime the lasers are used, they're cutting through shit. I mean, perfectly.
Yeah. When did he get hit with the laser? I missed that.
Okay, so I think Bullock's walking him down the hallway when they're all trying to escape together, and the yellow robot shows up, and it just shoots a laser right into his fucking head, like right between the eyes, and he immediately goes down. Like he's like down. And then Carl Rossum like runs behind the yellow robot and flicks the switch that says on to off, and it's over.
Oh yeah, maybe it was just like on stun.
Dude, that's ridiculous. Yeah, it was on stun laser. It's a big bright light that hits you in the eyes like a deer, and you just fucking freeze and you're done.
That's what I'm going.
Maybe that's it.
That's
but
why
I was like,
switch.
come on,
Who puts an on-off
you just
switch?
showed me what lasers are doing all the last episode. And now he gets hit with a laser. I'm like, he's dead. Oh, he's okay. All right, never mind.
Yeah, you can't kill Gordon.
And then we end the whole episode with Gordon's line, which is so reminiscent of like Lethal Weapon series, right?
For sure.
The Murtaugh, I'm too old for this shit. What is Gordon says? I'm getting too old for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
It's such the PG kids version of it. I just wish they went with I'm too old for this stuff. That would have been just way better than I'm getting too old for this kind of stuff.
Well, you got to do it grammatically correct.
I'm too old for this shit. And then Barbara says, practically the last thing of the episode, she says that she kind of liked it, the crime fighting. Barbara says she enjoyed crime fighting.
Oh yeah. You know what that means.
So that's it. This two-parter is an incredible two-parter that sets up the origin story, which is called Shadow of the Bat, I think, which we'll get eventually. That is the actual Batgirl origin episode. But I forgot that this was a pseudo-origin story for Barbara.
It's pretty neat that they are able... The same thing kind of with Robin becoming Nightwing, is that they're showing these
I
things.
exactly thought the exact same thing when I caught that. When I thought of that while watching the episode back, I thought the exact same thing. Our conversations about Robin slowly turning into Nightwing has been very clearly the narrative of Robin's story this series. Yeah.
For sure. That's something that they have been loosely tying into, you know, the discontent with Robin, and then this, you know, Barbara, whatever, you know, they're slowly going to show her transformation into, you know, Batgirl whenever it's like they don't care as much, I don't think, about the girl the characters, I think, at this time, unfortunately.
Because they're trying to just
it's all about
the
toys,
10-year-old boys,
you know. And
yeah.
there was like this lame rationale that girls don't buy toys, they just buy dolls, and so
you're speaking really to a Marvel like kind of thing. Like Marvel was really about that, because Ike Perlmutter, who is the president of Marvel, he no longer has any control over the MCU, but he has control over Marvel. Strongly believes what you just said.
Well, that's not just
limited
to Marvel. That was just like a
but
mindset.
He's so strongly a big supporter of it that it's that nowadays when the climate has changed, Steve, he still seems to be of that old era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're right. No, you're right. It isn't something that is exclusive to Marvel.
Yeah, there's been plenty of shows that I've watched on like Cartoon Network that were canceled because they weren't selling toys, or it was like, you know, not aimed at the right audience or whatever. And
you're watching plenty of shows on Cartoon Network.
I'm a cartoon watcher. Yeah.
So, Steve, what are your boys for this episode?
You know, I'd give this one like 4.5, I think.
A little bit more than last week.
Yeah, you know,
you gave 4.
Usually, like the first parts I find are better than the second parts, but this one was so satisfying in its like fight with the robots that it wasn't kind of lame. I feel a lot of times the endings are let down, but this one was much more of like hardcore, you know, antics where he's crushing them in elevators, and he's their skulls, like you've said, and they're acting. I felt like they looked like spiders, but you said crabs. Either one, you know, they're just
crab walk.
You know, these human-looking robots are acting, you know, inhuman, and it was all really well done. So I thought that this one to me was much more, and it was much more fast-paced. So it was like it got through all of the setup. So, yeah, I like this one, I think, more than the first part.
It was fucking awesome. I love part 2, and I give this one 5 out of 5.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love it. It was a perfect episode for me. Even though I had 2 squabbles, it was practically a perfect episode for me. I love it. I am excited, you know, that we had a Terminator storyline in a Batman series. I love that it sets up science fiction going forward in the DC animated television series universe, especially when we go into Superman coming up, and then Justice League after that.
Great bat stuff, gentlemen.
Great bat stuff, Steve. Cool Boy Nation. Tune in next week. Same Cool Bat time. Same Cool Bat channel. Cool Boy Bat Nation, be sure to let us bat know what you bat thought of Heart of Steel Part 2, or what your favorite Bat episode is by emailing us at batmanandbeyondcoolboys@gmail.com. New episodes come out every Tuesday. Also, check out our other great Cool Boy Central content with the Cool Boys Podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Patreon. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Cool Boys and review us on iTunes. Also, donate to us on Patreon. It only costs $1 and you will receive special access to content too hot to air. You can find the Cool Boys on Patreon at www.patreon.com/coolboyspodcast. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, Cool Boy Bat Nation. Until next time, it's Bizees from Bat Ballard.
And that's Bat Bizees from Bat Steve.
So cool.
Batman
and beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Batman
and beyond.